I have to be really quiet because everybody in the house is asleep except for me. About a month ago now, my dad broke the drone. He flew it into a tree apparently, and he gave it to me, and I basically haven't done anything with it. But I'm gonna have a look at the drone right now. I'm gonna have a look at the footage, see how bad it is, and whether we need to fix it, or if we can fix it. Alright, so basically, here's the box with the Mavic in it. Alright, well, you can already see we're missing a couple of props here. The props. Here's the big one. See this little guy? Oh, just in that tiny little piece there. It's broken off the suspension board itself. They're all hex heads on this body, it looks like. So, let's see if I've got a hex head. So I didn't have a screwdriver kit or a driver kit whatsoever because the kids have destroyed it and lost everything. So I've got another one of those. I've got some low noise quick release props and a genuine DJI suspension board or vibration board, whatever they call it. Gimbal vibration absorbing board. So we'll pull this thing apart and see if we can fix it. Okay, so we're going to pull the battery out. There's a number of screws on the top here and also a number of screws on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top. So basically we're just going to unscrew all of these. These are a very small hex head on mine. Not sure, I've seen other people have like Torx heads, but these were relatively easy. It's quite a small hex head. I'm not quite sure what size. It's maybe a 1.5 mil. One of these little screws has a very small amount of glue, which you can see me digging out right now. In fact, they both had it originally, but I've pulled this apart once before. So we pull these 4 off, and then we have these 2 little covers that we need to snap off, or not quite snap off, but pop off. And underneath them, we also have another 2 screws that need to be removed. So we'll pull those 2 out. Now, the top cover should basically just kind of pop off. It is a little bit stiff at the front, so you kind of have to use a little bit of force when you do this, but be careful not to pull it off from the back too quickly as well. So kind of pry it from the back and then move your way to the front. Eventually it'll pop off and make a horrendously crack sort of sound. And there we go. Now, just at the back of it over here, we've got the, I think this is a compass, so just disconnect that. Now at the front, we have these little connection parts. There's 4 screws, which we're going to remove, which I'm showing you right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 2 at the front. It also has these little cable connectors, which I just used a little prop to pop these off. There's 2 at the back, 2 at the front, and there's also that little power cable there in the white, with the white connector. These 2 at the front are a little bit of a pain in the ass. They have like a silicone sort of deposit around them. So try and pull that back if you can. It definitely makes life easier, and it also helps the board free up a little bit easier. Once you release these, the board will drop down. You can see me here just kind of trying to dig it out. Be very careful when you use your screwdriver for this. In fact, don't use a screwdriver if you can avoid it. There's a couple of screws here which you actually don't need to remove. Here's the new gimbal absorption plate. Basically, it just, once you've removed those 4 screws and the connectors, this should basically be free. So you can pop it off, lift it up from the back, and the front 2 little clips will remove themselves. And just with a little bit of a pull, it will free itself. In my situation, there was still a little bit of glue that held it on. So this is what the top looks like without anything connected. And this is what the bottom looks like with nothing connected. Okay, so here's the circuit board on the back of the gimbal absorption plate. There's a few little bits and pieces on here that you need to be aware of. There's these 30 screws in a triangular sort of shape. And there's also where I've broken off the gimbal is actually what holds onto the mounting plate. So there's the 2 screws that hold the gimbal in. Unscrew those. Get the new plate out. And we'll just get it ready. So you can see the 2 screw holes are actually still mounted to the plate in this example. So we're going to remove those 3 screws and replace the circuit board completely. This one still has a little bit of glue over the screw itself, which is again very annoying. Just kind of peeling a little bit of that back. It was a little bit painful actually putting this back on, mostly because trying to line it up properly. I have quite big hands and I was a little bit kind of coffee shakes when I was doing this. Alright, now so that's back on. We also have this issue with the ribbon cable. Sorry, not the ribbon cable. Well, maybe it is a ribbon cable. Basically you have to connect these, unconnect these 2 little cables on the top. Again, I just use a prop for this. And the kind of square flat cable just pokes through this hole. And it's quite a tight fit, so be very careful. And you just pull this through here and then you can reconnect it. The other one just goes around and it's not really such a problem, but it's very fiddly when you're putting it back on. So we're just going to screw the screws in a little bit here, just so that we get it all lined up correctly. And we tighten that and there's a complete assembly board. Now you may have purchased this as it was, but in my case, I just bought it like this. We're just going to connect these cables back on. And then we have to refit it. So we're going to put it back into place and screw the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws back together. Now, when I was doing this, I did find it a little bit difficult to screw these into the new plastic board because obviously they hadn't already had a screw in them. So when you do it, just make sure they're really firmly tightened. Don't kind of hold it underneath to screw the 4 back in. Now we have to just connect these little connectors back on. Again, I'm just using the prop, trying not to damage them in any way. They're a little bit of a pain to get back on, especially if they have the silicone still around them because it kind of gets in the way. So I kind of just move it out of the way and kind of weasel it in there. It does take a little bit of time, and again, try not to use a screwdriver like I did. It's kind of the only tool I really had to play around with. And you can see I've just kind of re-screwed up the suspension board underneath. Make sure you put the power cable back in and also the compass cable at the back. So now we just essentially redo what we did in the beginning, which was get this top plate kind of mounted back in. Make sure that's firmly connected in as well. And so with a little bit of force on the front. Now we're basically just screwing it back together. Do the 2 screws underneath the wings or the arms. Pop these screws back in. And basically once you've done all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, you are pretty much ready to go. Alright, cool. So we've basically put this thing back together. We've got the new low noise props on, so that's going to be exciting to hear how they go. Hopefully there wasn't anything else damaged in this. So we're just going to do a little test flight here in a not very good environment for test flights. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Come on, camera work. It's working. Fantastic. Is it working? Eee! Exciting. Alright. Here we go. Do I want to ignore? Do I want to update? Gonna fly. GPS already. Crazy. Camera seems to work alright. Oh, look at that. Incredible. Alright, let's see if it takes off. Here we go. Well, it works. I'm not going to take it out too far because I'm probably going to crash it. Sweet!